Hey, Dawn Nicole here, CEO and founder of Queen City Women in Business. And today we're going to talk about pro tips and strategies for events and expos if you're a supplier and a buyer, and how to maximize your exposure and effectiveness by doing these 5 things, okay? Now, knowing before you go is not just about knowing where to park and how to dress. It's also about knowing the strategy you need to use to compete at the highest levels. And today I break it down for you so you can be effective at our events and any events you go to worldwide, nationwide. Okay, number 1, if you are a member, you want to do these 5 things. Number 1, you want to identify the corporate partners and the vendors that will be in the space, in the room before you go. Did you know that real success is about what happens before you show up, during, and after? Okay, so you want to look at this as 3 parts. So knowing who's in the room before you go, who are the corporate partners that you could see on the flyer, right? And who are the table vendors that you could actually interact with while you're there? You need to acutely know who this is and create a list, which brings me to number 2. Understand which, maybe all, maybe just a few of those vendors and corporate partners you want to get in front of and why. What could you offer them? Look them up. What types of efforts and initiatives do they have going on specifically to your demographic, to your market? So for us, we service women in business. So for example, if the Third, Wells Fargo, or FNB Bank is there, I might be specifically looking up how to do business with them, what types of women-owned business efforts and initiatives they have going on, and maybe you want something different from each of them, right? Not all companies are the same, so let's not box them in. Maybe from one you want to do business with, maybe from another you're interested in lending opportunities. So again, knowing before you go is that level of strategy. The next thing, number 3, bring business cards and capability statements. Like for our event coming up, yes, it's a hat and tee, but don't let the pretty hat and tee fool you. This is also a business and supplier event, so make sure you have a small briefcase or something that looks nice that has your business capability statement and a business card. Now, I know many people are doing digital cards nowadays, but not everyone has adopted the digital card. So I might have something that has physical contact information for both, right? Business capability statement, business card, okay? This brings me to the next thing. Book a meeting. So if you can book a meeting, so let's say I'm having a great conversation right there in real time, speaking to Wells Fargo, things are going great and I'm a supplier, right? And I want to do business with them. I'm going to just take out my phone and say, you know what are you doing next Monday? Book the meeting from a meeting, right? You ever heard of that? BAM fam is what it's called. Book a meeting from a meeting. It's a real thing. This brings me to number 5. In order for you to be that strategic and that intentional, you have to have already time boxed, right, in your calendar, time available for the follow-up. That's one thing that suppliers don't do so well that we should do. If you're going to these meetings, make sure that you block out time the day or days after or right at a week after where you have time blocked or time boxed spaces for such a meeting. Okay, so these 5 tips should help you maximize your effectiveness and exposure. Now, let's say that you are a buyer. Let's talk about what you should be doing as well. I'm looking at my notes because when you're over 40, you might need to look at some notes instead of remembering everything. Okay, so the next thing you want to do if you're a partner, or the first thing, is identify the trades you want to meet ahead of time. So when you work with Queen City Women in Business as a partner, we give you white glove concierge style service. So you should have been talking to us ahead of time to identify, so Dawn Nicole, give me an idea of the demographic in the room this day. Are they going to be 100% members? Are they going to be non-members and guests? A little mixture of both. What is that percentage, right? This is important because if you're already one of our partners, then your goal is probably to get in front of new business, and you want to know from us who are the new business folks coming who are not already members, and what is that opportunity. Leads me to number 2. If you are a buyer or a partner working with us, then it's important for you to tell us what are the trades you want to get in front of, and you might want to make sure that we know ahead of time about those facilitated meetings you want to have. How many facilitated meetings do you want right after the event or the next day? Part of our white glove service is we can do that for you. Brings me to step 3, or point number 3, buyers. Make sure, many of you are pros, so you're doing this, but make sure you've time boxed time for the follow-up after the event. Many of you do a great job of planning, getting to the event, flying out, setting setting up, right, all of your promo, but sometimes you forget about the time box. And so when you actually get vendors who follow up or suppliers who follow up, you're too busy and overwhelmed to handle this. Well, guess what? You should have a post-event strategy, and it looks like time box spots for the follow-up. Which brings me to number 4, scan code. On your marketing materials, buyers, right, and corporate partners, if your goal is to actually book meetings from the meeting, then on your actual promo materials, have a scan code that goes right to your available meeting time, so that if you're talking to an interested supplier right there in real time, they can whip out their phone, they can scan it and say, great, I just scheduled some time with you. Cannot wait to meet and follow up. Okay. So these are some best practices. And then lastly, I think this is number 5 for you buyers. Make sure you're circling back with us as partners, because maybe you identified people, but in the thick of it, you forgot a name, right? Make sure you come back to us and you request a warm introduction, which is a nice feature that you get with QCWIB, right? We will facilitate unlimited warm introductions for you all year long. Okay. So fellas, ladies, this is how you maximize your event exposure and effectiveness. I hope this was helpful. Take care. Bye.